everyone. Welcome to Inside Winston Cup Racing. I'm at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. A little bit quiet out here right now, but it won't be quite a weekend from now as the NASCAR Winston Cup and Busch Series drivers move in here for the Mellow Yellow 500 and the All-Pro Auto Parts 300. Well, it wasn't quite all of this week either. Many of the NASCAR Winston Cup drivers and teams took advantage of a couple of days to come out here and do some intensive testing as they were checking out the new rules that'll go into effect as far as body heights and spoilers are concerned. We'll cover that and much more in this half hour of Inside Winston Cup Racing.
We'll rev things up with the second annual NASCAR Winston Cup Harley-Davidson ride. We'll take you along as several of the NASCAR drivers, mechanics, and car owners suit up and head out with a 40-mile ride to Martinsville.
Coming up on Inside Winston Cup Racing, a visit with Slim Jim Chevrolet driver David Green on the road in San Francisco. Not a pleasure trip, but a business trip. It's part of the business of racing.
Also, we'll take you to the Charlotte Motor Speedway where NASCAR teams are testing out some new rules designed to slow down the cars and increase competition. We'll have the story.
Inside Winston Cup Racing is brought to you by cold-filtered Miller Genuine Draft and Miller Genuine Draft Light, taking the country by storm. And by Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car.
Now, if you're a fan of Inside Winston Cup Racing, and certainly we hope that you are, you know that this program is about stock car racing. Well, today we have a story of a little different sort. It's about motorcycles, but it does involve the people who are involved in NASCAR Winston Cup Racing. Now, they don't get much time to spend with their hobbies, and many of them have a hobby of riding motorcycles. And they had their annual 1993 Harley ride to Martinsville, Virginia recently, and we went along.
This segment of Inside Winston Cup Racing brought to you by Texaco Haviland Formula 3. Add more life to your car.
It was 6 a.m. at General Aviation in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. The starting point for the second annual NASCAR Winston Cup Harley ride. Through the misty darkness came bike after bike. People from all walks of NASCAR. Many famous for the sport they play, suddenly unrecognizable except for their individual hogs. It was early morning coffee and conversation, and not about stock car racing.
It ain't rain to drop in station.
No. Tilly, what color is that road?
Oh, hell.
King, black and silver?
Black and silver, yeah.
That's good.
How you doing?
All right, how you doing?
And the racers, well, they kept coming through the early morning light.
Well, that light's bright. It's 7 in the morning. That ain't no morning light. Who you riding with?
I'm not. I got a bad back.
Oh!
56 bikes was the final count as they assembled for the 46-mile trip. It was racers in hog heaven. Some came from far away, some didn't. You didn't drive all the way. Where'd you come from?
Right here.
That was it? You slept overnight? Oh,
right.
man, nothing for you.
Got out of here right here. Yeah, well, I had to drive up here. Yeah, that's a long ride, you know. You do it in the middle of the afternoon.
How long have you had a bike? A long time?
Oh, yeah. Since about 79, 80, somewhere along.
Really?
I used to, when I first started racing, I raced bike. Back when I was skinny enough that I could stay on the thing. But then I went a long time without it. Yeah, there's some, well, I don't know about, there's some of that stuff right there. But, no, bike's been a lot of fun. Yeah. And just like I said a while ago, I just can't believe somebody will pay this much money to get up this time in the morning and ride around the rain.
The rain, well, it didn't seem to put a damper on the riders' enthusiasm.
You just can't beat riding a Harley. You know, it's got its own feel and sound, you know. It's just the sound. One thing sounds better than a Harley, and that's two of them.
When 7 o'clock came around, it was time to suit up and take off. Complete with a police escort, the second annual Winston Cup Harley ride was finally underway. They cruised through the countryside in unison, sleek bikes rumbling through the rain. And in just over an hour, they had made the trip to Martinsville. Through the gates and onto the racetrack, these proud owners of the monster machines majestically made their way around the half-mile track with a little mud on their boots and a smile in their eye.
super ride. Enjoyed it.
And you came all the way from like Arizona,
Phoenix.
right?
I flew in Phoenix. It was 101 in Phoenix yesterday. I come down here, beautiful rain, nice humidity. No, it was a beautiful ride. I got in the middle of the pack and didn't try to do nothing fancy, and enjoyed the ride tremendously.
We knew the weather was threatening, but it's second year in a row we're running rain, but it hadn't dampened anybody's spirit. I think
Harley riders are tough.
Harley riders are tough.
Several years ago, Harry Gant, Tim Richmond, and Dick Brooks all rode their motorcycles to Martinsville. And it seemed like Martinsville would be the place to come. But when they rode up here, it didn't rain. If we got to change racetrack or something, because it seemed like every year we come up here, it's the same rain. It don't change.
Representatives from all area Harley dealers as well, right?
Yeah, we got representatives from Asheville, Statesville, Charlotte, Winston-Salem, and also Greensboro. We even got representatives here from the Harley factory in Milwaukee and also the Talladega test facility. And about all the drivers and crew members have Harleys have joined us today, and we're glad to have them to look forward to doing our third annual Harley ride next year.
Whatever the route, whatever the racetrack, next year there'll be more bikes and certainly more fun, rain or shine.
Well, it's too bad the weatherman didn't cooperate, and certainly too bad that they didn't have a day like we have today. Right now, we need to take a short break. There's still lots to come on Inside Winston Cup Racing, so you stay with us.
So, David, how's this going for you?
Good. It's just like any other food show except here. I got to wear this uniform, which is fine, you know, that promotes the sponsor and all that, but it's really neat. You know, I still can't believe we're in San Francisco, and this is the #1 convention for convenience stores, and what a booth Slim Jim has here, you know, and sharing it with Macho Man Randy Savage, you know, is an honor in itself, so it's really neat.
David Green, who drives the Bobby Labonte Slim Jim Chevrolets in the NASCAR Busch Series, is in the thick of the battle for the 1993 Busch Championship. Our story on him today does not focus necessarily on his accomplishments on the racetrack, but on the business end of the sport. Recently, he made a trip to San Francisco to do some work for his sponsor, and Bill Weber went along with him.
David Green's busiest days are spent competing against his racing rivals and challenging for the Busch Series Championship. But some of his most important days are spent miles away from the track, in a more quiet, less hectic, but high-profile position, where big-dollar sponsors seek a valuable return on their investment. Like all racers that carry a corporate sponsor, David's duties go far beyond driving. Here in San Francisco for the National Convenience Store Convention in September, David is helping Slim Jim improve its racing-related revenues, shaking hands, signing autographs, and showcasing his sponsor's product to prospective customers. During this appearance at an opening night hospitality reception hosted by Goodmark Foods, David shares the spotlight with the fluorescent professional wrestler Randy Savage, another Slim Jim spokesman and David Green fan.
David Green's gonna just do the thing. We just had a little bit of a talk right now. We're a new tag team. Yeah, we're all on the same team here, the red, the yellow, and the black. Slim Jim colors, yeah. Number 44 is going to be doing the winning thing from now on. Championship material, that's what we are. We don't accept anything but the #1 situation, and that's the way I was raised, and that's where Slim Jim is going, right to the top.
David, you worked all day Friday, then you raced Friday night. It took us all day Saturday to get here. A little bit of sightseeing today, and tonight you're really getting the feel for what's going on. Is there more pressure on you tomorrow than maybe there is on a normal race day?
No, to me, you know, this deal here, to the convention and all the food shows, you know, it's really a relaxing atmosphere compared to the racetrack. You know, the championship battle now has kind of got me wrapped up, so to speak. But, you know, this deal here is kind of relaxing, you know, to meet a lot of people with good mark, and see a terrific town here that I've never witnessed before.
This is a whole new experience for you because you haven't been to San Francisco, even to California before.
No, and, you know, I keep thinking of the days back at Kentucky Motor Speedway, you know, Aaron Owensboro, and never dreaming I'd be in a situation like this. And, you know, it's all due to the fine folks at Goodmark Foods, Slim Jim, Bobby Labonte Racing for putting me in this situation. So it's almost like every day I got to wake up and say, hey, this is too much fun. Am I really getting paid to do this, you know?
The convention is a maze of mini-marts, a test track for companies trying to convince convenience stores to not only carry their product, but to give it high-priority shelf space. Here again, David is put in the driver's seat.
You need another one, or?
Let me get one for Tyler.
Tyler, okay.
Yeah.
Tyler out here.
In this race, he meets and greets fans and friends. His genuine laid-back style is a soothing switch from the hard sell approach. David is far from being a salesman, but he is excellent at being himself, which is exactly why Goodmark flew him across the country for 2 days of signing and smiling.
You a race fan, I guess?
Yes, he is.
Good. Okay, there you go.
Anything dealing with sports. Can we have a picture taken?
Sure can, huh?
When you're at the track a lot, do you see this interactive movement at the track, being able to tie the product on the shelf to the activity at the racetrack?
Absolutely. With the TV and radio coverage that racing is getting these days, and then our own involvement in entertaining customers at a number of the races during the season, there's a definite tie-in, there's a definite awareness on the part of retailers of what we are doing.
Do you have to win on the racetrack for your financial involvement to be successful?
We have to win support, attention, and attraction to the product. We don't have to win all the races. That's important, as I said. What we want to do is win in the eyes of the consumer and the customer, and that's programmed to support the movement of product.
How about David's role? Obviously, he's out here, he's meeting people, he's introducing or reintroducing people to your product. What's his role in a situation that you have him out here?
David is another salesman for us. He's a support for us. He's speaking on behalf of the company, on behalf of the product. We have to have a good image from him that matches up with the image we try to create from our people and from our products, from our overall company philosophies. David does a good job of that.
Racing is a business investment where success is measured by the bottom line, not the finish line. The economic equation includes performance, presentation, and popularity. Well, in addition to his driving abilities, then, is David a celebrity for you guys?
I don't think David has yet reached what one would think of as celebrity status, but he certainly is becoming increasingly well known. Again, as his performance on the track continues to improve, as we continue to publicize his activities and our involvement with him, he is getting more and more well known with the retailers, and that does draw their attention.
And how about when next time they see your car on the track, they're going to think, well, I remember those guys. I met them out in
That's
San
right. They're going to say, hey, I saw those guys. Hey, I had a signature from David. And hey, I met those guys. And hey, I can use the product. I can use these kind of things in my store because it's going to move product. I'm going to get the consumers in here.
You got to keep those sponsors happy, and every race driver today knows that that's part of his job. Right now, we need to take a short break. When we come back, we'll have a story on the testing here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, so don't go away.
Well, I feel a difference in just overall stick in the corners. It seems like the car's a little lighter feeling getting in the corner. And, you know, it just doesn't feel like it's glued to the track like we've been used to here the last couple past trips.
Speeds continue to climb in stock car racing, and in past years, the speeds only concerned the NASCAR officials at Daytona and at the Talladega Superspeedway. But recently, speeds have climbed here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, as well as the Michigan International Speedway and the Atlanta Motor Speedway. So they decided they needed to do something here to reduce the speeds. At Daytona and Talladega, they used restrictor plates. That has caused a lot of controversy over the years, but they've taken a different approach here. They've made some changes as far as the height of the cars, as far as the air dams are concerned on the front, and the spoilers. And a lot of the teams were here at Charlotte this week testing to try to get dialed in on those new rules.
The Tuesday and Wednesday test brought out most of the top teams on the Winston Cup circuit. The two-day practice session was added by NASCAR to give the drivers and crews a free opportunity to test their cars for the upcoming Mellow Yellow 500 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. The basic changes in the rules for the Winston Cup competitors are as follows. Starting at the front of the cars, each car's front end must now measure 5 inches in height, up from 3.5 inches of clearance off the ground. That should help put aerodynamic lift in the front of the car. And if a car should get sideways at Charlotte or Atlanta, there are now vents on both sides of the intake that will hopefully help air turbulence under the hood and in the cowl area. Hopefully that will keep the hood on the car when one gets backwards and the car itself on the ground. The roofs of the cars must now measure 51 inches in height, up from 50.5 inches. And the rear spoiler is only 5 inches tall now, down from 6.5 inches. The intention? less spoiler surface acting as a wing when a car goes backwards at high speeds, which lessens the likelihood that the car will get off the ground. And all these rules inclusive will hopefully slow cars down, also lessening the chance one will get upside down. And if all the rules combined don't do the job as intended, a carburetor restrictor plate could be just right around the corner.
Well, there's no question doing it with aerodynamics is the way to go. The restrictor plate will be a prohibitive expense. I mean, NASCAR's trying hard to slow this car down. I just don't think that there's enough input from everybody to slow them down. I think if you got 4 or 5, the crew chief, and NASCAR say, okay, guys, you guys figure a way to slow them down. I believe 4 or 5 heads together is better than 1 or 2 heads. And I really believe that they need to slow them down. There's no question about that. I just don't think that we're going the right direction the way we're doing it.
By most people's stopwatches, the cars were a little slower, but nothing significant. Where they are different, and much different than they have been recently at Charlotte, is in the handling department.
Yeah, I think you're going to see race pace slowing up considerably more than we have here in the past. I just don't see how we're going to be able to run around traffic, cars inside of you, outside behind you, as fast as we could have with the bigger rear spoilers. You know, we're just losing overall downforce in the car. And when you lose downforce, that's driver security, stick to the racetrack, and we've just lost a good deal of it.
My car feels like it used to feel on bi-supply tires here. You know what I mean? The car, you know, the radial's just stuck so good when you got in the corner, it's just like you just planted to the racetrack. Well, the practice we've done so far, my car is running just about as fast as it was here in the spring. I'm like 2/10 off what I was running here in the spring. But when you get in the corners, the car is kind of wishy-washy. You know, it kind of moves around a lot. I think it's going to be kind of neat.
It may be kind of neat, but it does raise the question, will there be more accidents if the drivers have less control of their race cars?
I kind of got an idea you might see a few more accidents, yeah. Hope I'm not one of them.
If the drivers do have more accidents due to the less downforce, it may provide its own test on the cars getting airborne and sliding backwards or sideways. The end result, they won't know until they get 40 cars in a race at the same time, and that will be in the Mellow Yellow 500. Most drivers aren't worried about that, though. They're worried about getting their cars comfortable as possible for 4 hours of racing.
The biggest thing I see is probably better than the 600 is, you know, you don't go into darkness like you did the 600. And that's the hardest thing to set up for because there's no way you can set up for it. You start to race in the daytime in the hot weather, and then you turn around and you end up at night. And at least today, you know, we can kind of work today toward what we can run in the race and not have to worry about it changing so much.
It'll be the drivers and the crews that figure it out the best that will have a shot at the win in the Mellow Yellow 500 at Charlotte next week and the final race in Atlanta, the Hooters 500.
Well, it's apparent NASCAR has accomplished part, at least, of what they wanted to accomplish, and that is to reduce the speeds. But we really won't know how much until they come in here for qualifying for the Mellow Yellow 500 next Wednesday. It's going to be an interesting week. Right now, we need to take a short break. Still to come, we'll have the mailbox, so don't you go away.
The Mellow Yellow 500 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway will be a key race in the chase for the Winston Cup Championship with Dale Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace. Who will win? We'll have all the action from Charlotte next week.
A year ago, Winston Cup regulars took 4 of the top 5 spots in the All-Pro 300. We'll see what happens this year. The points race is tight. We'll have the highlights.
And we'll talk with Liz Allison. You'll hear how she's dealing with the tragic loss of her husband, Davey.
Today's mailbox is brought to you by Miller Genuine Draft.
Our question today is from Jim Trainer from Tampa, Florida, who writes, what determines a rookie being considered a candidate for Rookie of the Year? Jim, for that answer, we'll go to the man who leads the rookie point standing so far in Winston Cup competition, Jeff Gordon, who drives the DuPont Chevrolet.
Well, that's a good question, Jim. You're considered a rookie candidate when you have not run 5 races in a single season. When you run more than 5 races in a single season, then you're no longer considered a rookie candidate. That's a good question. Thanks a lot, Jim.
If you have any race questions, write to us at Inside Winston Cup Racing, Box 240417, Charlotte 28224. If we use your question on the air, you'll receive this embroidered Miller Genuine Draft jacket.
Boy, our time flies so fast, I'm afraid our time's up for today. Hope you enjoyed the show. You be sure to join us again here on TNN for more on Inside Winston Cup Racing.
Inside Winston Cup Racing has been brought to you by cold-filtered Miller Genuine Draft and Miller Genuine Draft Light, taking the country by storm. And by Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. Ground transportation for the Inside Winston Cup Racing crew provided by Mark III Luxury Vans and Trucks, the official vans and trucks of NASCAR.